Get Rev. Logan to say a prayer and bless the food.
Before you want to see this, just have a word of prayer. Let's bow. Just for a moment. Just for a moment. Let's bow right now. Most gracious Father, we thank you, Lord, once again. Or you just keep us keeping power every month throughout the years. Now we come together for another SED meeting, and we just bless everyone who's here today, all the family that's represented, all the churches and congregations and organizations, the city, and all the employees and organizations that are here today. We thank you so very much for our president and everyone that works with us. Continue to lead and guide us, Lord, so we can do things that are good and right and just for the community and also for the city. In the name of Jesus, we pray and we ask it all. We say together, amen.
Amen.
Bless the middle.
We got chicken strips, chicken nuggets, the fruit, and wraps. So just let I'll get over with
I see.
We'll go ahead and get started. Code enforcement is up first. Does anybody have anything for code enforcement? Or do you have anything, Buzz?
No, I mean, just to keep the grass, just keep the grass low. You know, we're still in that season where it's raining on and off. And
Amen.
if you get a call from me, it won't work. So I think that's the main issue. They cut down the tree, or I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. Over here at Morris, remember we got the big tree that. So I took care of that. But that's it. That's it, really. So if you guys need me, I'll be here. All right. All right.
If we see someone that is kind of living in an area,
Yes.
who do we call to let somebody know?
You can call me, and then we actually like a homeless.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can call me, and then I can definitely direct it to. We actually have a team that goes out there and takes care of that. The lady's name is Megan Ball. Yeah, I can give you her information. If not, if you guys just send me a voicemail.
Yeah, I'm talking about, our friends that come in and they set up camp and, camp out in spaces.
Yeah.
So sometimes it may be, they don't know if it's too hot or too cold, and so the city have a team of people that will go out and connect with them and care for them and figure out what to do with them, and maybe even take them over to the shelter.
Right.
So y'all keep that in mind when y'all see somebody kind of perusing around in their own encampment area.
Yeah.
That you want to, that's good.
Yeah, and she brings up a good point, because we don't want to delay stuff like that, because the longer we wait, they accumulate a lot of stuff, and it makes it harder for us to go in there and actually clean it out. So, but yeah, anytime you see anybody, you can always send me an email, give me a call. We'll go ahead and check it out. All right. Thank you.
Now, the police was supposed to be here, so I don't know. I don't know what happened.
That's what they're doing, huh?
Councilwoman Byrd.
I don't know, that was just kind of funny. Because I had out at one of our city council meetings, it kind of got pretty heated around a particular topic. And the question came down to the police. And then they were saying that the police, was policing people too much. About the marijuana situation. Everybody knew about that. So then I was going to say, well, you all are complaining about the police being around everywhere all the time. I know some people that are looking for the police, for them to show up in their neighborhood and, peruse through there. So sometimes it could be a little quiet and their attention could be somewhere else. But I've reminded them that they need to make sure they ride through here as often as possible too, okay? So that's what we need. So I asked them for that. And then very quickly on Tuesday, the Denton Water Utilities is requesting residents to conserve water while some repairs are being made on a sewer line, a big one that's down on the south side. It started, overflowing or broke or whatever. So they're working on that, and they want us all to start conserving a little bit. If you don't need to run the water, don't run it. That's what they're asking for us to do that on Tuesday. And everything should be back to normal by the end of the day. So they've been working on that. And then, know that I have gotten myself this year on the Community Partnership Committee. That's a committee that gives money away to groups that bring in tourism. I'm on that one. And so I wanted to let you know, I put myself on that one for figure town, okay? And then they have a Ready to Work program they collaborated with our homeless population, and the city got together to bring forth a program that's gonna help those people to do some work over at the landfill. They'll be employed people, and it's gonna help them get up off their feet faster. It's for programs that people that wanna change. So you don't have a reason to come to Denton and not be able to start working your way out. That's who we are as Dentonites. We take care of people. They come in, we got processes for you. Get up and get ready to start being a part of the community. I love that. So they're doing that. And then the community fan giveaway, if you all haven't gotten your fans yet, they said that there's about a couple of hundred more fans, and that need to be picked up, and any remaining fans not picked up will be available at first come, first served basis beginning July the 21st. And so you'll be able to, they'll try to keep that going through for 30 days, and you will contact the environmental services and sustainability. Just call and say, hey, I'm looking for a fan. They'll get you where you're going.
Well, where are they giving them away at?
That's what they don't have it specifically right in here. But if you give them a call, they'll let you know everything, okay? They said go to, it's an online, let me give you a phone number. But if you just call the city and say, I'm interested in getting a fan, then they'll tell you where you need to go, okay? And then the next thing is American elm removal at City Hall. There was a big tree, about over 100-year-old tree, that finally just fell. That limbs started falling down off of it. The one that's close, you know what City Hall is, when you get ready to go into the chamber, and you have to walk up those few little steps and go in. It was a big old oak tree right there. Yeah. It just got so old, its limbs just started falling down and hitting the building, and and it broke a sculpture and stuff like that. So they just went over there and just trimmed it on back. So you don't want to be surprised about that. And the other thing that I have here is, I got one more. I'm looking for it. Dallas Drive water concerns. There was some, I didn't put this notice in because no one called me on it, but one of our other council members wanted to know why was the water being turned off over down in that area. It was, getting a little bit confusing. But it's the streets. They're having to replace some big water mains. I'm sure they'll be able to give you some more information about that. So there is a reason for that. I wanted to pass that on to you. And Loop 288. I'm going to this meeting. Loop 288, the Texas Department of Transportation, is in conversation right now to redo Loop 288 from I-35 all the way up here to 380. So they're gonna have a big meeting coming up on Thursday, July the 27th.
What they gonna do?
I don't know, that's why we gotta go to the meeting. They're hosting an in-person meeting on the Loop 288, and that's gonna be at the Denton High School. And it's from 5:30 to 7:30. And they are going to give us some, want your input. And some, input, they really do listen, from what I'm gathering, from my experience. They're gonna want some input on, your input on that. On Thursday, July the 27th, they're gonna be at Denton High School. Now, I don't know how it's gonna affect all of this over here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Tomorrow, Friday, is National Gorgeous Grandma Day. So if you're a gorgeous grandma,
what you looking at me for?
I'm not a grandma. They're gonna have a really beautiful party tomorrow. On Friday, July the 28th at the Denton Senior Center on Bell. They said bring pictures of your grandkids. At 11 o'clock, they'll start having all kinds of little fashion shows and all kinds of stuff. And then, but you gotta register, and that's online, of course, it's online. And then, I know over at the American Legion Hall, on the 25th, adults over 50, you're gonna come to a 70s party. That's why I said, hey, ladies of the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're gonna have a 70s party over at the American Legion Hall on August the 25th. Dress in your best 70th garb and dance the night away to old school tunes. And it costs $10 to get in. And then, movie watching party, Martin Luther King Rec Center on Friday the 25th from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And of course, you'll be able to bring your popcorn and enjoy that if you want to. So the final thing with me is personal. I finally got a date to get my hip fixed. I'm getting ready to have a hip replacement. And I've just been dealing with this for so long. And when they told me it's time, and they said yes, I cried. That's how much pain I've been in nursing this hip. So I want you all to pray for me. It's on August the 8th. Then we get through all of that and a speedy recovery so I can get back up here, do my thing. Okay? I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a person.
Yes.
Police department's not here. Is the police back there? No. I can turn it in for you.
Okay. I'm having two problems. First one is, Wood Street going north. They don't stop at that stop sign anymore, since they complete the street. They just go there, so half time they don't stoop, they just keep going through. And I come up every day and count how many cars run that stop sign. It's been, I don't know how many people have had to go a different way to keep from getting hit.
I did know what she's saying.
Wood and Hickory.
Wood Hickory. And the other one is, I thought we had a code for dogs. I thought when you turn loose, they supposed to be on a leash or something.
Yeah.
We need some help. Dogs are running rampant over here. I had to call on Saturday, two, a bulldog and a German shepherd. And I mean, they come asking me if they were aggressive, and I told them, I can't tell whether they're aggressive or not. All I know, they ran up to us and went down and moved.
Well, you should have said they got teeth. That's what you should have
And
Like
I
who used to tell
I
us.
said, I haven't seen it in the community before. I said, y'all need to do something. I said, we are just going crazy with dogs and cats over there. And I get tired going out picking up poop. And it stinks over there. And I came out yesterday and I could not hardly stand it. Front yard or backyard, it's just ridiculous. And I don't want not a dog nor a cat, no horse, or anything else.
I'll make sure I get the information to that. And the dog fair. Mayor, do you have anything for us?
Somebody wanted the number for Sustainable Denton, and I just looked that up.
Okay.
It's 940-349-8205, and it looks like they're located at 1001 South Mayhill.
That's the number to call for a fan, those of you that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
And they are open from 8 to 5.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey. So first, we'll start off with awesome news. Tree's gone, right? Y'all seen it over there? Just hanging across the street. That joker's out of there. Yeah. I told you we'd get that one done. So excited about that. Then for those that go up to the Kroger on University Drive, you go that way. Just remember, North Texas Fair and Rodeo starts next month. That's the 18th through the 26th. So that area gets real busy. The parade is on the 19th. If y'all care to be there for that, it starts around the old Denton High, goes up Carroll, around the square, comes back down. So if anybody's interested in that. I need code enforcement's help on that. You're working on a car that's parked in the backyard on Lakey, right? I think that's.
Yes.
It's been about a week or so.
So,
It's been about 2 weeks.
And they're working with the city.
Yeah.
They applied for a permit for a fence. So, but also, Denton Affordable Housing is also with them, so.
But they had a car and a boat.
Yeah.
So, I'll get with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think they're gonna get that fence up in time.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Thank you. And then, I don't know, I missed the beginning of it, so I'm not sure if the councilwoman already mentioned, but we have a cleaning service that's getting ready to start downtown. So they'll go around and monitor that. So if you have family that works down there, or if you're going down there regularly, you'll start to see people in advance to kind of help. That's either to find parking, find restrooms. They'll be sweeping up, cleaning, reporting stuff that are broken. So that should help your experience as you're down there. If you're down there, just know that's coming. Just wanted you to be aware. Other than that, any questions, I'm happy to speak to those. Otherwise, yes.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I'll get you in a minute.
All right.
If you or Councilwoman could find out what they are building at Cross Timber and Mill Street, looks like an apartment complex.
Is that what they are?
It's apartment.
That's what I was told.
I was just wondering what kind of apartment complex is being built.
Okay. I'll pull it up and see.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I didn't know you were finished now.
Yes, sir.
I know for the last 2 years, since that came back from the pandemic, right there on the corner of Wilson and Lakey, we've always complained about, not being able to pull out. I know for 2 years we talked about it and never got any response. But I was reading the July 7th report where now all of a sudden, it's been a concern, but I know that you mentioned, hey, we need to start looking into that. And my question is, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, is for 2 years, what did we do wrong to where nobody would get with us, and now all of a sudden it's a concern?
Well, so Wilson Lakey right there by Railyard, you got to pull all the way in the middle.
Yeah.
I believe, I'll just tell you that the difference is that house is there and they have about 8 cars.
Yeah.
And so those 2 are parked in the corner, and that house, it used to be empty on the corner.
Yeah.
And so that's a big problem, because you can't see.
Right.
And they're always there, right? And so I think that it was always a problem,
Uh-huh.
but it's worse problem. Example, coming the other way off Wilson towards Lakey, like coming from her house, coming around the corner, that car parks at the stop sign all the time. Well, that's illegal, but there's just less traffic. It's not always there. But those people with all those cars are always there. And full disclosure, I called Habitat for Humanity too, and talked to them first before I called code enforcement and community services and asked them to go visit. They did go visit, and they said the same thing, that they told them to get that car up and running, and we'll get that car and the boat pretty quick.
That's okay.
And we'll get a no parking sign from here to the curb.
Yeah, right, okay.
So that's coming. But the difference is, I think the catalyst was that house and all those cars, and it's just important that we're all good neighbors, right? It's public parking, right? You can park there, but at the same time, we got to be mindful of our neighbors and try to do a good job to get along. And I think that's we're on the other side of that right now.
Okay. Now, what type of speed sign were you talking about? Putting on Lakey. I'm just trying to get a vision of it. And I don't.
Certainly, the same one is on Morris. That just the digital sign.
Oh, okay.
They have some of those. I think that's a good starting point. Start collecting data, and then we see what else we need to do. We can put some curb pop outs.
No, you won't.
That's my buddy. She's awesome. She is awesome. So, any other questions? Thank you for that. Any other questions?
Wait, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see, it's coming off of Hill Street, and use a turn going back up Moore Street. It's right there by the railroad track. They got like a block of cement that's jetting out.
Yes.
We got street department here.
What is the purpose? What's
Yeah,
going on?
we're gonna talk about that, but it's so here's the thing. People won't slow down. You have to make people slow down. And so you have to engineer things to make people slow down. Well, when the road is narrow, people naturally slow down. And so you narrow the road to make them slow down. If you leave it wide open, there's no mechanism, there's no rumble strips, nothing that's gonna make people slow down. Because if they speeding through there, they're speeding through there. The only thing that makes people half the time slow down is if it's narrow and they slow down to get through there. So what you cause a narrowing of the road to incrementally slow people down. And so then maybe they don't feel the need to gun it again to go to the next stop. So it's just kind of, it's a speed control mechanism because people are just set on, you know, especially around here. I mean, it's like they get over here and just want to go. so that's the way to slow them down, right? Yeah.
They're doing that on all the corners.
Yeah.
You notice right down here on Perry and Bradshaw. I was against it.
I'm trying to make your event.
If you're at that stop sign on Perry and somebody, you got to wait. You have to wait. I don't care what nobody say, you have to wait. That's what they talking about, these speed bumps. I had them to move the speed bump off my house. And there wasn't no speed bump. I don't know what that mess was. But anyway, they are doing that, so when you come, this person won't have to completely wait or whatever to make that turn. You know, if you not paying attention, you're gonna turn right into it. Yeah, they did it over there too.
That's right, 'cause I just talked to the man that's the bank about that, he said he's gonna go check it out. But I told him.
They're making them too narrow, they're too narrow.
Running all the way out, you know,
Next we have, Aimee. Aimee, were you done?
Okay, still.
Are they with you that was sitting next to you?
No, I'm all by myself today. This is DCTA, Ms. Fuller.
Okay, I can't see what you're saying. Okay, thank you.
I'll be brief. I'm Aimee Bissett with 97 Land Company. Some of you may remember us coming and talking to you back, I believe in November, about the Railyard project, which is the construction that's happening at the Trinity Industries site right now. I just wanted to come give you a quick update. They have received their building permit for that project just on the Trinity Industries site, which is the multifamily development that y'all have seen previously, 3-story, about 300 units. Phases 2 and 3, which are on the other side of Sycamore, they have made no progress on those at this point in time. In January, we did get them, meaning Lane Partners, who's the developer, to commit to SEDNA and the neighborhood that they will engage in a community benefits agreement process for phases 2 and 3. Right now, with the economy where it is, they just want to get phase 1 under construction. And every time I talk to them, I ask, "Are you ready to start the CBA process yet?" And they said, "Give us a little longer. We're still working through some things on phase 1." So they've been doing some off-site sewer improvements as a part of phase 1, and you should be starting to see on-site construction any day now. They just got their permit last week for that. Nothing about the plan has changed since you all saw it last, but I just wanted to come and make sure that I'm keeping you guys involved and updated on what's happening. Yes, ma'am.
Since I've been watching these new facilities come up, some of the concerns of the people that live close to those facilities always include dust and, environmental factors like that. Would you please ask them to be mindful of those things, and if we need to know something before it happens, give us a heads up to let the community know that there's extra something going on.
Absolutely, yes. And I'll make sure as well that I'll leave some cards up here for you. So if y'all see anything that's going on that you think is not okay, just call me and I'll make sure and communicate with them. But I'll tell them, please, especially with dust control and noise and roads being blocked, anything like that, that we give you a heads up as much as we can.
I didn't, I have this question. I know, you said how many apartments are gonna be there? 300?
I believe it's 324, but I'm remembering off the top of my head.
Okay,
Somewhere right in there.
as far as parking goes, I don't know how parking goes when it comes to apartments, but I'm praying that you'll have enough for all the tenants. My concern is, like, I don't know if anybody's gone down, on Saturday night, they have those 2 clubs there. I have seen the cars parked all the way down to Bradshaw. And I was concerned about it, if y'all were gonna have sufficient parking, or if not, that y'all will be parking on the street. I mean, it's only on the weekends. I don't see it much during the week, but you can't even get down that street
I've been
on Saturday
on there
night.
when that
Yeah.
happens, but it's crazy. So the parking requirements for multifamily developments are based upon the fact that There's a lot of student housing in Denton, and this isn't student housing, but because of that, the parking requirements are pretty high. So it is one space for every bedroom that's in there, plus guest parking, plus extra if you only have a one bedroom. Because there's a chance that if you have a one bedroom, you're a couple and you have two vehicles. So it's pretty significant amount of parking required on site for sure. And that the purpose of that is because near UNT and TWU over the years, some of the existing neighborhoods have experienced parking on the streets, and that's been a problem. So, but they do have phase 2 and 3 across the street. So if we run into a parking problem once they get open, then we can explore, can we have some across the street or something?
Okay, I remember the applicant saying you might do a parking lot across the street, but you just said phase 2, you know, you didn't know when that was actually gonna happen. That was my concern right there, you know.
Yeah, I think we could look at, adding some tandem parking if it became a problem for.
All right, thank you.
You know, street getting blocked with cars. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I think it would be good to bring back to the group, once you have it, or email to Colette if you already have it, a look at what that would look like at the end. I saw it took down the fence at the, backing up to the graveyard. So just a look at that would probably be good, just to get the group so that we kind of.
What it's gonna look like,
Right,
like from
right.
the view?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, like from the graveyard, looking back into into that development, what does that gonna look like? I mean, it's better than a chain link fence with barbed wire, certainly, but still, I think it would be good for the group to know.
Absolutely. I will see if we have that. It would be an elevation of that side.
Sure.
And see what I can find and provide for the group.
When are they supposed to be ready?
Well, so they haven't really truly started construction yet, because they're fixing some sewer issues first. Once they start construction, it's probably gonna be 15 to 18 months before they're ready. It's gonna be a while. But they have to abide by construction rules and regulations, meaning they shouldn't be out there making noise late at night, or, you know, there are days and times that they can be under construction, and if you're having noise issues, call me and I'll talk to them about it.
Any other questions?
I was in the process of looking up what's gonna be built at Mills and Cross Timbers, so if I have that before we finish here, I'll speak back up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aimee. DCTA. I wanted DCTA to come out because I know a lot of routes and stuff have changed. And I just wanted them to give us an update, what's going on.
Well, thank you all very much. Thank you for having me here, Councilmember Byrd, Mayor Hudspeth. I appreciate the chance to be in front of you. My name is Paul Christina, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Denton County Transportation Authority. I was appointed in a permanent capacity by the board last September, and first as an interim CEO in March of last year after joining the agency the prior November. So just by way of background about me, I started my career in the Air Force as a civil engineer. That's right, and got to deploy with the Army and spend some time with the Navy, and so lots of good experiences there, and then did some aviation consulting work, and then I worked for BNSF Railway, which is the other railroad like Union Pacific that comes through town here. So, yeah, so we hear you on UP. We hear you on UP. So I'm really happy because I've lived in Denton County since 2010. I'm raising my family here, and this is an opportunity for me to serve my community in this capacity as CEO. I'm joined by Ms. Brittany Farr. She's our Senior Director of Engagement Administration. She's responsible for all of our externally facing communications and all that sort of stuff. And so I think what you all asked us to do is just to come provide a bit of an update as to what's happening in DCTA. So I've got very quickly some notes that I'm happy to share with you, and I'm interested in hearing what's important to you, because we have a lot of things that are evolving at DCTA, and we want groups like this one and voices like yours to be heard in those processes. And this is really the chance for us to build a relationship, and I hope this isn't the last time that I get to come and speak with you about that. So that's what we'll do. First of all, I want to talk about our ridership across DCTA. You know, when the pandemic hit, you all were very affected by that. The transit industry and DCTA was very affected by it. And so coming out of the pandemic, we doubled our ridership last year to just over 2 million riders. And this year, we're close to 3 million riders, so up another 35% overall. One of the biggest success stories in that is that last year, our board of directors opted to increase frequency on the connect routes 6 and 7 that remained. You all know that a few bus routes were eliminated through that process, but the board did invest in additional frequency in 6 and 7, and that has driven a 50% year-over-year increase in ridership. And so what that means is the buses on 6 and 7 now pass a given stop every 20 minutes, and a bunch of people have come back to riding buses as a result of that. And so I'm really hopeful that that trend will continue, which I think that it will, and then that informs our board in their decision-making for what other bus routes and bus investments might be made. And we're using the data from the Go Zone service that allows us to see where people are going to and from, so that if we do make an investment on a bus route, we can have a pretty good level of certainty that there's at least people there who could use the bus if they chose to. And so that gives us another tool in the toolbox as we're planning what could be a very robust bus network in the future. On the rail side, you all see the train, you hear the train. One of the things that we heard from the mayor and a few constituents was the quiet zone at Sycamore. Now you all are working on the quiet zone with Union Pacific Railroad that's going to come through town. That's for the freight side. On the passenger side, we have a wayside, what's called a wayside horn. It's a horn mounted on a pole, and it makes a sound kind of like a train, but it's electronic. When Sycamore Street improvements get done, it's going to create some improvements to that intersection where the road crosses over the railroad track, so that wayside horn can go away. And so then we expect, I think, as I've talked to Becky and her team, that project goes to construction in the first half of next year. And so when that's done and that wayside horn goes away, you won't hear a horn from the A train, and then you have the UP project going in the future. We're also doing the same thing, looking at improvements to the Shady Oak intersection where the A train crosses, so that wayside horn could go away. And that's a great use of this program that's been in place called the TRIP program, where the city says, here are projects related to transit that are really important to us. And then DCTA provides those funds, or a portion of those funds, for those projects to go forward. So I'm really excited about those two as real quality of life improvements. Another thing that we've been working really hard on is building good relationships with the planning departments and the cities in general in our member cities, because we want to be part of the community. We want to know what's important to you. And so we've started in the conversation around the city's master planning process, and to understand what information would be useful from DCTA for those processes. And I know as you all look at your Southeast Denton area development plan and all that sort of stuff, the downtown Denton Transit Center is in the far northwest corner of that zone. And so whatever input or perspective that we can provide, we want to be able to have those conversations with you. So we look forward to that. Another thing that we're working on is our bus fleet. You see our buses riding around, and they've been around for some time, but we've started the process of polishing them, cleaning them up so they look nicer as they ride down the road. It gives pride for the people who ride the bus. It's pride for the drivers who operate the buses. But we also have to think about the future, because as that fleet ages out, we need to think about what is the next generation of buses that we're going to be using. And there's lots of conversation in the federal spaces about what types of fuels can be used and all that sort of thing. So expect to hear more. In fact, our board meeting this month, we'll be talking a little bit about the impact of long-range bus fleet planning on the long-range financial plan to DCTA and all that sort of thing. One more thing that we're doing is looking at our fare policy, the money that you pay to ride either the bus or a Go Zone service or whatever it might be. We want to make a fare policy that's really easy to use, really easy to understand, and that integrates well with the other transit agencies in the region, so DART, Trinity Metro. That way, if you're trying to get across the Metroplex, you can do it as easily as possible, and when those people are trying to come here, they can navigate well. And so we'll be talking with our board a little bit about that probably towards the end of this year, after questions really came out of this community and others inside of Denton with regard to what should we be thinking about for fares at DCTA. And then the last thing that I'll just mention is we have a program called Access, and it's what's called a paratransit program, where it's a program that helps people with disabilities and mobility limitations get around town. And this is a program where if you qualify, you can call up to 24 hours in advance and schedule a ride, or at least 24 hours in advance to schedule a ride in anywhere inside the service area. And a shorter bus will come and pick you up at the curb, and then will bring you to your destination. And this can be things like medical appointments, grocery store trips, all that sort of thing. You can go online to our website and find the application, and then the people in our customer service team would be happy to help you. And if you qualify, again, age 65 or qualifying disabilities, you could use that service as another way to get in around town and get where you need and want to go. So again, I just really am grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak with you. I'm grateful for the invitation, and we are here to serve this community and the other member cities in which we operate. And so as you see, hear, wonder about things, please let us know so that we can work together to come up with the best options that we can for your needs. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all, bus services, who is running them vans? What they call them, goes on?
The Goes On vans?
Y'all got connection with those? Or?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a contract with a company called Via Transportation, and they have a slate of drivers who are licensed, qualified, background checked, all that sort of thing. And so we pay an hourly service fee for every one of those vehicles, and they deliver service on our behalf.
Well, I just need to say one thing. We've been watching those vans. Them vans, I was like, well, they real drivers. Like you say, y'all background check. They'll stop in the middle of the street. I done almost ran in behind one. They'll get out, open up the side, while cars and stuff. They do awful things in those things. And you got to keep an eye on them if you around them driving or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand. I've seen them come in the apartment complexes, and then like they coming down Lakey or something, they'll stop right in the middle of the street. Mm-hmm. And you behind them, or maybe hitting your brakes quick, mm-hmm. and they get out and open the back and the van, and let them out, and then either just let them in and be running. But I've seen some real stuff that shouldn't be seen watching those vans and stuff.
Can I add something to the what is Mr. Christina?
Yes.
Okay, so what the problem is that they're stopping, like she said, in the middle of the street, and then when we make the call to y'all for the senior citizen, I was down there when they made the call, when they left a lady and they didn't pick her up, or they dropped her off. Somebody was supposed to do a follow-up, and they never got back in touch with me. The young man stated that he couldn't pick them up, or Ms. Tootie was stating that they are dropping them off in the street, or they're just leaving them, or they're driving around saying that you're not at this spot. And these people, the senior citizen, Miss Betty Ward is one of them, and they're at a certain spot, but your drivers are saying that they don't see them. So there's 2 or 3 things going on before. Now, Shani emailed to you, I think it was you, and I forgot the other young man, the other guy, and I think you forwarded to him. He called me, but he never did a follow-up, because I told him I was going to do an Open Records Act request to see how many times have they left these people standing out in this heat saying that they're not there, or stopping in the middle of the street, how many complaints. And secondly, and I know this a lot, your people that you're supposed to call in and answer, that they answers the phones, when you call in and ask for a supervisor, they claim they don't have a supervisor, or they put you on hold and don't come back to the telephone.
I'll explain some of the goes on. Sometimes if you, and it doesn't make it exactly right, I just want to give some clarification. When they hire these new drivers, because they hire new drivers, the application will tell you stop right here. And so if they're new, they may immediately hear that and stop. It doesn't make it right, because the rules are they're supposed to find the safest place they can to pull over. And then sometimes the algorithm, it's not a door-to-door service, it's a corner-to-corner service. So it'll take you to the nearest corner to where you are. It doesn't, that could be better. We could get some things that make it work better for the senior citizens, but it really is a corner-to-corner service. It's not, and that's why the rates are so low. And not, like I said, I'm not trying to say it's right, it's just the way it's been set up when it's doing it.
Would you like a job, sir?
I used to work with, I did go zone, so I was one of the drivers.
Okay,
So I know, I actually know how it
Okay,
works.
for them to stop on the
It's not okay, it's not okay. No, it's not okay, I don't wanna
I'm just
justify.
getting that clear, cause
Yeah.
them drivers in those vans, cause I've been like.
But I'm not justifying it, I'm just saying, when you got a new driver and they're trying to do right by the job, their first thing will be to, when it says to stop, they're gonna stop.
All I'm just saying is that if an apartment complex, you can't do an algorithm for those corners,
Yeah.
because you're in an apartment complex. That was the problem.
So a few different things here. Number one is, in order to better identify drivers who maybe are not doing what they were supposed to do, or at least in the public perception the driver's not doing what they're supposed to do, we've asked VIA, and they have begun placing large alphanumeric decals on the back of every van, so that somebody can say, I saw van L67 at this place at this date and time, and they did this. That makes it really easy for us to then call VIA, and I'll tell you that if we call VIA, or if I call VIA and say, hey, we saw this thing, their first action is to temporarily suspend the driver while they do an investigation. So we found them to be very responsive if we can get the information. So that's number one. Number two, with regard to citizens who maybe have more mobility limitations, we are trying to develop some options that make it easier for those people to use the service, that maybe they don't have to walk as far. So if you, sir, would provide me the names of the people that you're talking about, then I'd be happy to follow up and see if we've got solutions that can maybe help these people individually. The third thing I'll say is, thank you, sir, for your commentary about what's called a virtual bus stop. Though it may seem intuitive to step out the door and say, I'm trying to go from this point to that point and go stand at the curb. When you book a trip, either on the phone or on the app, it wants you to walk to a certain location, because that's how the computer is used. That location is what the computer is using to know where to route the vans to as efficiently as possible. Likewise, on the other end of the trip, you may not get dropped off exactly where you're trying to go, because again, the virtual bus stop is at a different location. And so that's things that we can do to help educate people a little bit more about how the system is supposed to work, because I can understand why you would see and observe these things and say, well, this doesn't make any sense. So we appreciate that feedback for sure. But if you see something that doesn't seem right to you, call the customer service number, you record the alphanumeric code and allow us to investigate.
Okay, now you say those are on the back of the vans now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because like I say, I don't know if the drivers you hire, if they're from Dallas or Denton, but I would like for y'all to let them know that when the street says one way, it doesn't mean drive the other way.
Yes, sir.
At least twice a week, I'm coming down Elm or Locust. I've actually seen a lady on Prairie turn up Elm Street and go back north.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and when everybody's flowing, but she was, it made no difference. She was gonna get to her destination.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. And I've seen them turn on Hickory in front of LSA Burger and go back, south on Locust. And this is at least twice a week, and I see this every week. But now that I know there's a number on there, and I can call, because I've actually gone on Messenger and sent a message. But the information, if I'm driving, I don't have time to write down, and I'm not gonna take a picture, because
Please don't. We don't want to. Don't use your phone.
Yeah, so I can't do that, but now that I know there's a portal I can go to, but yeah, when it says one way, I've even seen it out in North Texas. When it says one way, it means one way.
Yes, sir.
And that one way should be the city's way, not your way.
And you probably get a lot of drivers that, you can.
That's why I want you to be Denton driver, or y'all.
Yeah, they're not all Denton drivers. It's an open job, just like anything else. You can apply from anywhere.
But my thing is, they can be new drivers, they can be middle drivers, or whatever. drivers are drivers.
Yes,
My question was to you, when I even see them, don't let me get behind that, because I'm like, oh, no, I don't let. They put the vans in reverse on you. Like I said, they will stop in the middle of the roadways, the highways, where they'll open up the vans, and I don't even see them playing them sometimes. Jumping up in there, tell the driver to wait for them, they probably going to do something they got no business. I even seen them run back to the van and hopping back in them. They put their car, the things in reverse. You could be coming and they backing up in the street. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, where did they get these people from? Where did they get these vans from? And stay away from them driving. Cause baby, they'll hit brakes on you with a 99-cent squeeze. You know what I'm saying? And they be doing weird, stupid stuff on these whatever I call them GoFundMe buses. But I mean, there's some stuff be happening on them things. So my thing is, I'm glad that you are here, cause I've been wanting to find out who owns them and who is these people real drivers or what's the deal, pickle. But I tell you one thing, them some bad drivers in those things.
That's me. The alphanumeric on the back of the car.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask this question. The place where, and it's just for clarification's sake, where you're going to remove the horns, are there trained, what are those called that come down?
Gates.
Yeah, because the horn also, it's made for safety. We don't want people to get hit.
That's right.
In the places where you're moving on.
So the way that works is, in order for the Federal Railroad Administration, so this is a federal issue, grade crossing safety federal issue. In order for the Federal Railroad Administration to approve the removal of the wayside horn, they have to be satisfied that there's enough things like gates coming down in both directions, a raised median that goes in between the lanes of traffic so you can't drive around the gates, all that sort of stuff. And so the wayside horn will not be removed until the FRA is satisfied that there's enough other stuff there that doesn't make any noise to keep drivers safe at the grade crossing. But always pay attention, always heed railroad warning license is my PSA for today. Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna add any new route to your bus system?
Great question. So we are in the process right now of looking at what the Go Zone service is telling us about where people are trying to get to and from. And when I presented to the Denton City Council just a few weeks ago, I laid out kind of a roadmap that could lead to additional bus service investment and kind of substituting fixed route service for the Go Zone service in certain locations where it makes sense. The reason that Go Zone was launched was in order to drive as much value for every transit dollar that was spent, and it has done that because we've run a lot of rides on the Go Zone service, but what we've learned in the last 18 months is that there are some places where fixed route might actually be a better option, and so it's our job as DCTA staff to give our board of directors that data and the opportunity to make decisions about how those investment trade-offs happen. So the short answer is perhaps, and we're working on that right now. And like I said, we briefed that to the Denton City Council just last month, and so every time I have that forum, I'll be giving an update on where we stand in that process.
I still think you need a bus route that you had to go to the mall and to Walmart. That's on the loop.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you do put that route back, it should be routed a different way than where you were using it, because I was a frequent rider of the bus. And I feel like the last part you had when you left the mall and was coming back this way down through the area where all those warehouses and things that was a disadvantage. There no people live there. You come back over to these apartments here.
That's a great observation, and what I'm interested in is, as we think about a bus network, we have 3, 6, and 7. We have these routes that run for the University of North Texas. How do those pieces fit together? And then, are there parts of some of those old routes that were discontinued that actually maybe make sense if you did something different, exactly like what you just said.
Right.
So I'm encouraged by
Those
that,
routes that
thank
you
you.
have now cater only to the universities, most to North Texas and TWU.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know from experience, because I'm a frequent rider, was a frequent rider.
Yes, ma'am.
Push me at the disadvantage now.
Yes, ma'am, that's a great observation and very similar to how we're thinking about this. Are there pieces of some of those old routes that make sense in the context of the entire system, which is what we're trying to build as a cohesive system?
And you all also know that there is a group here in Denton, they're called Abundance Denton. And that group is really on top of the transportation situation.
Good.
And I have been assured that DCTA does have conversations with them because they're the ones that's riding the bus.
Right.
I've even ridden the bus to see exactly what they're telling me. And I made a notation that, hey, y'all are dropping me off way over here, but I have a car seat and a kid, and I gotta go all the way over to Aldi's and bring all my groceries back over here. So we've had that conversation. I want you to understand that that is already on the table for them to look at. Route 3 was taken away, and so, you know, it's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we're holding their feet to the fire.
Yes, ma'am. And Route 3 is still exists. It was Route 2. I think
Yeah.
that was the one that is the one that you're talking about.
That's right.
And so it is on the radar. Right now we're
We
working.
really don't take you to the places that you really need to go, because I'm a rider of Route 3. And it does not take me where I need to go. It takes me up to the central, and I have to, well, I was transferring to 2, so now.
Right, and so transfers have to be an important part of whatever happens in the future, and having schedules and routes that are designed to enable transfers. We're working right now on a project looking at what are the amenities at all of the bus stops that we have, and we got money from the region to do some bus stop enhancements. So maybe that means where there's not a bench, there can be a bench in the future, or where there's a bench but not a shelter, you can have a shelter. So we requested that money from the regional council of governments back in the fall, and they said yes. And so we're working on right now what is going to be the plan for that. And then we want to make sure that as we implement those things, that we have the opportunity to have these kinds of conversations so that you can speak into it. And can't promise you get everything that you ask for, but certainly our decisions should be informed by your perspectives to the extent that they can be.
And hopefully it'll be done on an expedited nature.
Yes, ma'am.
Because when you're used to something and then it's gone and you really needed it, now it feels like we need it more now.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we took something away and we want it back, but we want it back now. That's the feeling. So, appreciate you coming through.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, again, thank you all very much for the opportunity. I would, I'll leave you my cards here on the table, and then I would love to get an email with the schedule for all the future meetings, and we'll figure out how we can have a complete line of communication here. And,
Thank you.
yeah, we appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Last, we have street department here, just. Quick update.
So, good evening, everybody. My name's Seth. I'm the program manager with Capital Projects. So, I think I recognize most of y'all's faces from a bunch of public meetings that we've done. But just wanted to give you a quick update where we're at with our 2 projects we've got going on, specifically related to Southeast Denton, and then as well as our 2020 bundle Sector 3. So, good news, we're wrapping up 2 of the 3 projects. So, the 2020 bundle Sector 3 is the work that we're doing kind of on East Hickory Street, Bradshaw, Wood, McKinney Street. If y'all see McKinney, it's finally complete. So right now that contractor is working on North Wood Street, finishing out a small piece of paving. We found some Atmos gas lines that were pretty shallow, so they came in, relocated those for us quickly. So I'm hoping by the end of this week that street's topped out and we're ready to be done with that one. The second one is Southeast Denton Package A. So if you're on Jackson, let's see, Mill, Allen, Cook, Robertson. We've gotten quite a few of those done. We had to work through a redesign on Mill Street. So we're working out in front of Ms. Franklin's house right now. But we've got the first layer of asphalt down. Hopefully they're getting her driveway poured back here pretty soon. But once we finish up Mill Street, we're adding in a new piece of sidewalk in between the school, Fredmore School, and all the way down to the end of Mill going towards the railroad tracks. And so that was the redesign that we did there. So fingers crossed, end of August, we're gonna be completely paved out and just working on little knick-knack things here and there. The second one, Southeast Denton Package B. So that's probably where you've seen a lot of the utility work happening. We've been working on Bradshaw between Sycamore over by Lakey. We've done Bailey, Avenue S, Maddox, Prairie. We've got a ton going on. We've done about $40 million that we're investing into the neighborhood just on those 3 projects. We're still on schedule with that one to be complete May of next year. So of course, as you've seen, we're going in, we're doing the utility work. The roadway crews are coming in after that. So hopefully we're not impacting you guys too much on your individual street segments. We're trying to get in there, do what we need to, get it topped out with asphalt and get out of the way. Also, one more thing, those flyers that got handed out, those are hot off the press. We're having another community meeting to provide you another update similar to what I just did on August 10th. So that was just posted to the city website today. The flyers that you've received just went to the print shop today. So if you live within the impacted construction area, those flyers will be hitting mailboxes into this week and beginning of next week. And once again, that is Thursday, August 10th, here at the MLK Center in person, except we're gonna be in the big room. So hoping for a good turnout. I've left some more flyers with Miss Colette. I also put some up at the front desk. If you want to grab a couple, hand them out to folks. I've also got my business cards in case y'all have any construction related issues. Happy to get a phone call from you, or Miss Franklin can easily get a hold of me now. Anytime.
When you gonna finish the project on Hickory Street, the corner of Hickory and Wood?
Yeah, so hopefully pretty soon. I'm fingers crossed within the next couple of weeks. They're pouring back a concrete valley gutter where the barricades and stuff are right now to help the drainage go across there.
Okay,
So
what about Crawford and Hickory, where they tore that part up, but they didn't pass that, you have, it's a hump in it, it's a breaking it.
I'll have to go look at that one. I'm not familiar with Crawford and Hickory.
Okay.
But I will find out, and let me give you my card. If you want to give me a phone, I think you do. I think I've given it to you a few times, but if you want to give me a call tomorrow, I can figure that out for you.
I stay on the corner of Hickory and Wood, and I had a drive-through off of Wood into Hickory, and you closed that off.
Okay. A lot of the things where there were drive approaches where the gutter was laid down, we tried to put raised curb if there wasn't an actual driveway coming through there, so the drainage wouldn't run up into your property. And so if that's something that we need to look at, I'd be happy to go out and take a look if it's something that you were utilizing. But the main purpose was, I know a lot of them were just lay down curb from older houses or something that had been there before. And so we tried to put those back with the normal curb and gutter, so we didn't allow the drainage to run in when we put the brand new roadway in.
Well, I had 2 houses back there at one time, and that was why.
Okay.
They had that extra driveway.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
You don't have to so heated as it is.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just got a quick, the contractor, do you know if they're working shorthanded? And the reason I'm asking is, Prairie between the cemeteries.
Yep.
I haven't seen anybody down there in a while.
Yeah, so we actually kind of put pause on that one. Miss Aimee that talked about the Lane property earlier. So they have some drainage infrastructure that was gonna tie into that section of Prairie. So we kind of pumped the brakes on it to see what was gonna happen with that. Our development services group let me know that there were 2 storm drain runs that were gonna come down. And it was breaking my heart that they were gonna tear up our new roadway. But it kind of seemed inevitable at that point. So like I said, we pushed pause on it for a moment, but they got the first layer of asphalt
Right,
down.
right.
We're gonna be doing some curb and gutter work there in between the two cemeteries right there to replace that, and then they'll finish the asphalt here in the next couple weeks.
Okay, I was just curious, like I
Yeah.
said, I hadn't seen anybody down there, and I thought maybe they were just working somewhere.
No, we moved them to Wainwright, south of, in between Highland and Prairie.
Okay.
On the other side, so those crews aren't leaving, we've got 4 or 5 streets under construction on that project, and so we're just moving those crews around to keep them busy
Okay.
while we work through some issues.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
He covered most of my question about East Prairie. But are you guys gonna do the other end of East Prairie?
So we're doing all of Prairie from Bradshaw through to Carroll.
Okay.
So we'll be working, it's gonna start on that end of Bradshaw that we are, and we're gonna continue to work west all the way till we cross Bell, we've already done the little piece in between Elm and Locust, but we'll do everything from Bell to Locust and then jump to Elm and go all the way to Carroll.
Well, one more, now you said you're doing all the Prairie, you know there's a small dead end section of Prairie, are you doing?
Yeah, we're not doing the section that is east going towards the drainage channel.
So you're gonna have that pretty road, and I'm still gonna be on that old asphalt.
That one is.
I would like to have a pretty street also.
Yeah, fingers crossed, we're looking at a 2026 bond package that's gonna do some residential neighborhoods again, and we can look and see if maybe that one makes it. But of course, all of these that were part of the 2019 bond were based off of the existing condition in 2015. So we're catching up on those super old roadways, and maybe those are in the next queue to be done. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I noticed about the new roads over here in this area, these roads are really wide. After everybody else's roads around here is so narrow, you get 2 road cars on the same side and just going. But they, after they fixed it, yeah, over here, so it's nice to see what they really look like now.
Yeah.
Because we've been avoiding all the holes and, traps and all that. Now it's nice and smooth and it's really wide.
We've always been.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully now you're seeing some of the completed projects of the roads that we're getting done, so that's just more insight for the future to come as we finish up those utilities. Like I said, bear with us, a lot of it's gonna be done by next May. And of course, we're, Bradshaw, Sycamore, a lot of that is gonna be towards the end of this year, and then we're gonna be working our way west out of the neighborhood, kind of more towards the Elm Locust side. We've got some streets over there that we're gonna be doing. Yeah, and we're working with TxDOT. Maybe Miss Becky can give an update on where we're at with that, but I know we are working with TxDOT on Elm and Locust to get those repaved hopefully soon.
So one thing I wanted to add real quick, as part of that community meeting that we have scheduled for the 10th, we're also going to be looking at Moore Street. And so part of that meeting is to get feedback, community feedback on what y'all would like to see on that roadway, what kind of how you want it configured as far as pedestrian or bicyclist or any of that. I think kind of some of the things that we've had some lessons learned during this project, these projects. Ms. Franklin's taught us a lot, so we want to make sure that we're getting that feedback from everybody that lives out here that uses those roads as far as what y'all want, kind of what y'all want to see those projects look like and what those streets look like in the future, so that we're not just assuming that we know best and we want to just put it out there. So that's gonna be a part of that meeting. If y'all have ideas or anything like that, please bring it. We'll be there to kind of talk through what that looks like and get any feedback.
Okay, this is gonna be my last question, I promise. When you're doing the street and you bring all the supplies and there's an empty lot, does the city ask permission to put stuff on there? The reason I'm asking, the corner of Bradshaw and the dead end of Prairie, I came home one day and everything was on that lot, which is, my family owns that. And the relatives were saying, well, who do they ask to put it on there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, and when after it's all gone, the grass, it just tore up the grass. But do y'all get permission from the property owner, or you just put it on there? I said they did it eminent domain, they just went over and put it on there.
Yeah, so typically the city will provide any land that is city-owned, and then anything that's a private citizen's property, we require the contractor to go contact them and make any agreements. If the contractor has not contacted them, then that is something that you can easily let us know about. We'll bring it up, and that will get cleaned off and restored back to how it was.
Okay.
We have ran into that a couple times where It wasn't the contractor that the city was in direct contract with, but a subcontractor utilized a lot, and they had the police called on them, and we got the stuff moved fast.
Okay, all right.
So, but yes, if you're experiencing that, let me get you one of my cards, and you definitely let us know.
Okay.
So I think somebody asked about Locust, so I'll give you an update on Elm and Locust. So Elm and Locust, a portion of Elm and Locust has already been completed. Seth actually delivered that project. It's drainage, water, and wastewater. So if you go from the courthouse south, Elm and Locust, including Eagle, those are all currently TxDOT roadways. The same if you go from the courthouse north all the way to 380. That's also a TxDOT roadway. The city has been working for some time, Councilmember Byrd knows, and so does Mayor, on Elm and Locust. So Seth already replaced all of the drainage and water and wastewater infrastructure, Elm and Locust south of the courthouse. We have now been working with TxDOT to have them come in and completely reconstruct that portion of the roadway. So they will completely reconstruct Elm and Locust south of the courthouse, and it'll be including Eagle. Trevor is going to be now working on the portion north of the courthouse to replace the water, the wastewater, the drainage, and the roadway. So Trevor and his team, and I can't remember which one, he has lots of project managers, so I can't remember which one is going to actually be Taylor. So Taylor's going to be delivering that for him. The goal, and what I'm currently working on with our legal department and our city manager's office, is for the city to actually take over Elm and Locust. It's called a turn back program. It'll go through the Transportation Commission, and that will be Elm and Locust from Eagle to 380, and they will become city streets. So it is in the works. The anticipated construction time frame is summer of next year for Elm and Locust for both sections. One of them already has a lot of advanced work done. You've seen a lot of the drainage and water wastewater that's been done with your streets. So that'll be the next step. So very exciting. The city's been really working hard for a number of years. I tell this story all the time, but when I came back from maternity leave, I started the design on Elm and Locust. My son is 17. And so I am very excited to have our team deliver this project. And I did leave the city for a few years and came back later, but this has been something I've been very passionate about, really working towards, and our team has done that. Trevor was excellent in thinking about some ideas. The county's actually partnered with us on some of the funding, so it's a very good news story. Really excited about that. So I know it's bumpy. I drive it too. Our office is off of it. We feel your pain. We work very closely with TxDOT. If we get a concern or a complaint that comes through, we are coordinating with TxDOT on as a matter of fact, they were texting me while I was in here. That's how closely we work together. So please know if those concerns come up, we are working towards, and I can't wait till the day when those roadways are completed. And I wanted to add one thing, Councilmember Byrd, that you mentioned on the public meeting. Don't want to confuse anyone. So Loop 288 actually touches 35 and 380 in two different spots. So keep in mind, the picture that was in the newspaper was Loop 288 where it crosses on the southern side, where the roadway's already been completed. Yeah. It is actually the section from 380 north to the north 35. So if you drive that roadway, you know it's a 60-mile-per-hour roadway. We call that a controlled access freeway. They are actually going to be putting frontage roads and additional lanes. But that roadway actually is going to be from 380 north to 35, kind of towards the north side of town so just didn't want you to be confused. It's not the portion that's already been completed that goes through near Walmart and Kroger and the mall. It's going to be the portion north. So just wanted to clarify that. Absolutely. Sure.
Any other questions? Otherwise,
yes, ma'am. No, we've got questions
Wait a minute, we're not done.
Get their attention.
If you have grandkids or children, we, MLK board, we're gonna do a back to school party. We'll be giving out school supplies. We're gonna have food, games, music, and more. So it's gonna be August the 11th up here at the King Center here, and we're gonna we'll be doing it from 6 to 9. So we'll be giving out flyers, y'all know, children and maybe your grandkids or something. We're gonna invite y'all out for this back to school party. Thank you.
Say it loud, sister, say it loud. Reverend Logan, don't get tired of me now. Don't get tired. Look, now, how many of you are worried the fact we're making a Quaker Town movie? Ma'am. Silencio, señor. Silencio, señor. I mean, be quiet. Logan's talking now. Look here. How many are worried the fact we're making a Quaker Town movie? How many? Huh? All right. All about Quaker Town. You know what happened in 1922. We thank the mayor and the city council. They've given us $250,000 to the Denton Black Film Festival Institute. That institute is now, we've been running films now as an institute for 10 years. We got support of TW, North Texas, and the city in a great way. Now, the city has already donated, am I talking too loud, mother? The city has already donated $250,000 so we can make a 4-part episode. Did you hear me on that? Yeah. I'm talking about money. I'll pick the check up. Money in the bank. We went over and started the bank account. Now we need you. Everybody here representing churches today, don't leave here today without giving a card to your pastor. Ask your pastor to send me a check for $1,000. If you can't do that, send $100 and we'll also take $10 bills. And what we want to do is we want to raise $250,000. Take this business card. You don't have to read it. Just go to the QR, take it to the site, take the PayPal or GoFundMe, and you can donate to the Denton Black Film Festival Institute, which we've been good caretakers of the money that's been placed in our hands. We've been a benefit of getting folks up on the square during the month of January, doing our film festival. We need your help. This movie is about us. We don't want the city to give us $250,000. We come up with no money.
All right.
You didn't hear me. We don't want to come up with $0 coming from Southeast Denton. So you can take these cards and lay them out here on the back table back up where the mayor is right now, and want you to at least take at least 5 or 6 cards. Don't worry about running out. I got another 200 in the car. Don't worry about that. And Cooper Copy is ready to set already and print me another 500. I want to run out of these cards.
All right.
Let's get this done. Let's get the money in. Make it happen. Tell your pastor. The Reverend Logan said, I'm still a pastor now. I'm not retired yet. Pastor Logan said, send me some money right through the website. Amy's already going to fix me up with the business people that she knows. Amen? Amen. Somebody say amen. Amen. All right, I'm going to quit now. Thank you very much. Let's get this done. All right. Can you imagine our children 10 years from now, 15 years from now, learning about Quaker Town and seeing it on somewhere like Hulu and Netflix? Huh? What's going to happen? And they can see what the history of Denton was all about and how we've grown in Southeast Denton, spurred up from that. You're going to see Sister Clark on there and a lot of the people there. It's going to be a great thing, guys. We're going to come together and celebrate 1922, and now we're here in 2023 and see how far Denton has come. And we'll find out. And a plug for the city now. I called about 2 cars that were parked and they needed to get them removed. They went and got them removed within 24 hours. Amen. All right. I'm just saying. We got to give people what they make. All right, so the cars are back here. Cars are back here. Let me pass out your cards. I'm passing out cards. Thank you. The mayor's talking.
I just want to raise awareness of what Trevor said, right? Because we don't want to have a repeat. Hear what he said. Morris Street. So if you're on Morris Street, you have friends on Morris Street, they're going to talk about Morris Street. And that's people are going too fast. You know how you slow people down? Narrow the road. If you don't want the road narrow and you want to live with the speeding, you better say something. So that August 10th meeting is critical that those from here, because they go, right? Once they're going to have that meeting, they're going to talk about it, and then we're going to spend money, and it's going to be done. And you're going to live with whatever happens, so we really got to be, make sure our voice is heard, and our friends and family that live on Moore Street, that it's just, say something, please.
Y'all hear the man?
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Don't forget, we have food.
Aimee has.
Somebody asked about Mill and Crosstown. There's a two-story house going on there, but there's two-story guest house. Seth said it might be a quadplex, so it might be like an up and downstairs rental, but at most it's 4 units.
Thank y'all for having us.